Hello, everybody, and welcome to our official digital launch of the TAB Everest Preview, brought to you by the Australian Turf Club. I'm Ben Way. It's great to have you guys with us tonight. What a star-studded lineup we have, and hopefully we can help you find a winner and get that little bit more excited ahead of the big race coming up on Saturday. We've got a little bit of admin to go through, plenty of people to thank, the sponsors that help make this happen, and of course, an introduction of our many guests that will be coming up over the next hour or so. But off the top, thanks very much for joining us, and we can't wait to see plenty of you out on track come Saturday. I'd like to welcome you on behalf of Australian Turf Club Chairman Matthew McGrath, Board of Directors and Chief Executive Jamie Barclay. We'd also like to acknowledge Racing New South Wales Chairman Russell Balding, Board of Directors and Chief Executive Peter V'landys, and thank Australian Turf Club Foundation partners TAB Corp, Longines, Lion, Moet Hennessy and the Star for their ongoing support. We couldn't do it without you guys. We're just over halfway through Sydney's prestigious Everest Carnival. $50 million in prize money has gone on the line. Plenty to come up over the next few weeks, that is for sure, including and led by the world's richest race on turf, the TAB Everest, which is the headline act, let's face facts. $15 million this Saturday, October 16, and it is a mouth-watering affair. We've got 12 slots, we've got 12 very, very handy contenders, and this really is anybody's race, so we cannot wait. This is also the first chance for everybody across Sydney to be able to get to an event. It's the first COVID-safe event since we've come out of lockdown, and to everybody who's done it really tough over the past few months, well done. You've done a brilliant job, and hopefully we're getting towards the other side of it. The eyes of the world are once again on Sydney racing, right where it should be, as we welcome back patrons to Randwick and, of course, Rose Hill coming up as well for Golden Eagle Day in just a couple of weeks. So it really is exciting times ahead, and we can't wait to rip in on Saturday. Whether you're lucky enough to be trackside or enjoying the hospitality here, it is world class, we all know that, or one of the many millions that are going to tune into the action across the Sky Racing platforms, and there are many of those. I know that Fox Sports US are actually going to be taking the TAB Everest this year, as well as they have done in previous years. So we've even got that international audience there as well. Those that are watching live and free on Channel 7, the Australian Turf Club invites you to celebrate in true carnival spirit, no matter how you're joining in the action. There's weekly digital competitions such as the Spring Fashion Stakes and Top of the World, where you can win the ultimate Everest Day experience in 2022. And as I said, fingers crossed that we're back to normal and everything can run as we hope to from pretty much a couple of months onwards. You can access free beauty and racing tips and downloadable party packs to help create some fun off the track. For more information, visit australianturfclub.com.au or follow at Australian Turf Club on your social channels, as I'm sure plenty of you already do. That's just about enough from me. We've got another hour or so to go, but just a heads up, this lineup we've got tonight, I mentioned it earlier, but this is one hell of a crop. This is Everest worthy, I tell you that much. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the insights and previews of the TAB Everest with this elite crop: Chris Waller, Kerrin McEvoy, Joe Pride, James McDonald, Tommy Berry, and Australian Turf Club Racing Ambassador and Seven Racing expert Katelyn Mallyon as well. But first up, and we really do need to stop meeting like this, because I actually had a digital chat for a TAB launch with Chris Waller only a few days ago. We have one of the gun trainers in Australia, in fact, all time, in Chris Waller, and he, of course, has Nature Strip and also Home Affairs. Chris, great to have you part of it.
Absolute pleasure to be joining you. It's a great event, and COVID has brought about a lot of different changes. We would have normally been in a big room having a great time celebrating this wonderful event and great carnival, but fortunately modern technology brings us into our homes and gets into other people's homes around the world, as you said.
Well, that's the thing. We've missed out on a few opportunities, but at least, the digital age has meant that we're able to do it this way. And I'm sure there are plenty of people sitting back about to enjoy your insights with a glass of Moet. If you haven't, you can go and grab one right now and have a listen to Chris. But Chris, let's touch on Nature Strip to start. The big fella, he isn't the favourite for the race, but he may well be come jump time on Saturday. And he's just a powerhouse. He has the best resume in the race.
Yeah, he's a great horse, and when he's on song, there's none better. And obviously, the same could be said about a few others in the race as well. So we think we've got him pretty well, Ben. Brilliant first up win. He was beaten by a great horse in Eduardo second up, and certainly wasn't disgraced. His form's better than it was this time last year. And then, of course, in the autumn, he was brilliant in winning the TJ, setting up the highest rated horse in the world for sprinters. So we only need to, I guess, replicate that run, beat Eduardo and a few others there as well, and we'll be right again on Saturday.
We'll touch on Eduardo in just a tick because he is just a bulldog, and I can't wait to have a chat a little bit later on to Joe Pride, who of course is represented by that horse. But let's just start with Nature Strip. We might have a look at a replay of that first up run this preparation over the 1,000 metres when he was just at his devastating best.
Nature Strip with the ears prick travelling to the turn by 2 lengths on Wild Ruler doing the chasing on the inside of Adelong. 2 off to Handle the Truth and now trekking revved up, 4 off them and Standout gets to the outside. Nature Strip is cruising in the lead here at the 250 from Wild Ruler and trekking getting past Adelong and then Standout, but Nature Strip in full flight here in the Tab Concord and at his third tilt of the race. He's a big winner today. Nature Strip won it by 3 lengths to Wild Ruler. Third, Handle the Truth railing through to fourth. Then came Adelong from Standout, Standing Bear and Starboy in the time of 56.66.
Now, I'm sure it's fair to say he wasn't properly wound up at that point when you've got the Moya winner. Trekking obviously ran well after that. Standouts run well as well behind Masked Crusader. So the form sort of got franked there. And then we've had a run subsequent to that behind Eduardo. Did you feel as though you just left that little bit in the tank for that run?
Yeah, I think so, Ben. Obviously, as Darren Flindell pointed out, it was his third attempt in the race and the first time he'd won the Concord. So that was great. The shorts, yeah, I think it wasn't really our planned run. We intended to run in the Premier just 2 weeks before the Everest, but we changed our minds. I think he was a little bit soft. I'm not making excuses, but he did have a good puff afterwards. I should be putting my hand up and saying I didn't have him fit enough, but obviously, we didn't want to knock him around from his first to second up run in only 14 days. So perhaps we were a little bit light, but I was really taken by his work since then. I think he'll strip fitter and be hard to beat. And look, it was no disgrace running second to Eduardo. Joe Pride's got him flying. He's a great horse, and certainly Nash knows how to ride him well. So what a benchmark, Eduardo. Try and get past him if we can. It'll be a big help because there'll be some tired horses chasing, I guess.
When the barrier draw was announced, I'm sure there was a little bit of concern by many who were keen on Nature Strip given the wide draw, but I must admit, I wasn't really one of those, and I'm keen to get your thoughts. Given you've got Eduardo inside, it almost feels as though it's perfect for Nature Strip just to slide across and now sit outside him.
Yeah, I think what you need to respect with, and everybody knows with Nature Strip, he's not the best barrier horse. He's often half a length slow. His first 50 metres is pretty good for a sprinter, but not outstanding. And then the high cruising speed from the 100-metre mark basically to the 400-metre mark. If they want to go with you, they're in trouble. If he wants to find a position, he can take it wherever he wants because that's the acceleration he's got. So when you're drawn out a bit wider, it just allows you to come across where you want to be rather than being in barrier 1 to 6, say. If he's half a length slow and James has to fire him up early and he gets that signal, he starts to charge. And that's when it gets a bit tricky. He's using up energy that he doesn't need to be using mid-race. He could be using that in the finish. So we've seen a very tractable horse, in particular the jump out with Home Affairs. Home Affairs jumped probably a touch better. He led up, Nature Strip found his rhythm and just continued to build in the straight. So that's how we see barrier 10 on Saturday. Obviously, it's going to be light in the speed. He might not be in the first 3, but he'll be where he's comfortable, which I think is the most important thing. And both James and myself and the owners were rapt to see the draw.
Okay, well, you touch on Home Affairs there, and you do have another runner in the race, so let's talk about him. In the run in the Heritage Stakes, we might have a look at that first, and then we'll get your thoughts ahead of the big race.
King of Sparta's back in the field, wide but improving into the straight now, and Home Affairs held together from Tri-State a length away, then Sorter State, Maltai. Pallaley's trying to get into it. King of Sparta down the outside. Home Affairs showing a good kick. Tri-State's wobbling under pressure, and Home Affairs has gone further in front. Pallaley and King of Sparta can't get there, but look at Home Affairs go. I think it's fair to say there's the Coolmore Everest slot taken care of. Home Affairs wanted in a romp from Pallaley. I think Tri-State just lasted for third in front of a very fine Red and King of Sparta. Then came over past from Sorter State Holstein.
Yeah, I mean, Darren sort of hit the nail on the head, didn't he? There was pretty much a Coolmore spot up for grabs, and if Home Affairs ran well in that race, you suspected that was how it was going to play out. So congratulations for starters for getting 2 horses in the race. That's an achievement in itself. But Palelli's come out and franked that form since. You must be confident that he's at least going to run a good race here.
Yeah, very much so. I watched that race down the fence, and it was amazing to see the speed that he went past me at. And yeah, as you said, there were some handy horses in the race, and he did that first up. So I think there's a bit of improvement to come. He was a good 2-year-old. He won Group 2 races, etc. But wow, he's just strengthened up and physically changed as a 3-year-old. So he'll need all that power and brilliance on Saturday. But we saw with Yes, 3-year-olds can win the race. And he's the new kid on the block. Obviously, it's a big block. And he's got none other than Glenn Boss aboard, who's the big stage rider. So lots of positives. Work's been great, and he matched motors with Nature's Trip a few days ago, and it's different game day, but at least he's got a similar motor at least.
Okay, so positionally, whereabouts do you see him, Chris?
Well, he's drawn perfectly in barrier 6, so I guess the same for Glenn. He'll get him into a nice rhythm, make sure the horse is comfortable, and whether that's in front or whether that's 5th, 6th, 7th, I'm sure Glenn will just have him comfortable. All of those horses, or bar 3 or 4, would be capable of leading. So it's a matter of who wants to take the race up, how quick Eduardo's and Nature's Trips go, and that'll determine where the horses to the inside, I guess, end up. So it's good to have options from barrier 6.
We're about to say goodbye to you, Chris, and we do appreciate your time as always. You're very generous with it. But we're about to have a chat to Kerrin McEvoy, who, of course, will ride last year's winner in Classique Legend. And I just want to pick your brain on that front regarding, you know, the difficulty that Les Bridge faces in trying to get a horse first up into this race off the back of a trip to Asia. A worldwide tour really does add difficulties to it. But if anybody could do it, it would be Les, wouldn't it?
For sure. He's got the respect of all his peers, certainly me. He's an amazing trainer. I always respect his first starters, his listed runners, and the Everest runner, as we saw last year. But if anybody can turn a horse around and get him back into form, he certainly can. So, yeah, we're lucky to have him in Sydney, and he's a great mentor.
Yeah, he's certainly a legend of the turf, that's for sure. Thanks very much, Chris, and best of luck come Saturday.
Thanks, everyone.
Brilliant to have Chris Waller on board, and brilliant to have this man as well. Of course, Chris Waller has won the race with Yes in the past and looking to win it again with Home Affairs and Nature's Trip. This guy's already won it 3 times. So I dare say it's paid for an extension, maybe a holiday house, a few other things. Kerrin McEvoy, great to have you part of the team here. Buddy, how are you?
Good, thanks, Ben. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. This race has been very kind to you. It
has, yeah. It's been a great race for me, and plenty of fond memories been made in its short infancy that it's been here, and yeah, looking forward to the weekend. I think I've got another great chance to try and grab the trophy again.
Yeah, let's touch on Classique Legend. We'll talk about Red's LN2 ticks, but Classique Legend really hasn't had the ideal prep. I don't think it was plan A to go in first up into the race, but have you felt that improvement off the recent work?
Yeah, definitely. It has been a different preparation this year compared to last, and Les has had to mastermind a new approach for this year, and he's had to take his time and be a little bit patient. And I have felt good improvement off of each of his 3 trials. His second trial was fantastic, and his third trial was even better again. I really feel he's come on, and it's been tricky in the sense that this year us group of jockeys in the city, we haven't been able to get in and ride track work over the past 4 weeks. So that's sort of added another spanner to the works. But Peter Rover was kind enough to step in, and he's been able to get the job done for Les there of a morning, and he's been giving us some great feedback as well on how the horse has been performing in between his trials. And I'm really pleased with how the horse felt on Friday morning. He had a real strut on, and when he's got that strut on this horse, he's in game mode. So I'm hoping he's going to be strutting around and in game mode on Saturday.
Well, that is best. He is the best, and it's good to hear that he knows it. Let's just get the spine tingling and just recap that victory from last year, and then we'll discuss the nuance about the barrier draw and what we can expect come Saturday. But one hell of a win, wasn't it, last year from Classique Legend?
Classique Legend looking for a bit of cover now. Libertini the outside. Guitra being roused along from Bivouac. Santa Ana Lane and Tafane. Eduardo at the 300 metres, a length clear. Nature Strip's been in his slipstream, giving chase. 2 after Aubrey on her. Classique Legend 4 off. The grey flash is starting to cut loose. Here he comes. Classique Legend storms to the front and kicked away. The grey flash is now an Everest legend. Bivouac home to second. Photo for third. Trekking and Guitra. Then Santa Ana Lane from Horbury on her and Nature Strip. Further back to Libertini, Tafane.
The thing is, Kerrin, and that must be one hell of a thrill. I'll get you just to explain how that feels in a second. But he absolutely spaced them there. That was a demolition job.
It was, yeah. It was run at a pretty hectic pace, but yeah, he's pretty dynamic, this horse. He's an unbelievable athlete to ride, and you know, they're the moments you cherish as a jockey. To throw your leg over a horse of his ability is a dream come true. And yeah, it gets the blood pumping for this weekend. The kids were watching that replay this morning on the TV, and yeah, they were pretty excited for the weekend as well. So yeah, let's just hope he can get back in great form, and I'm happy with the barrier anyway. I think we can get a nice run.
Yeah, should get a nice cushy run there from 5. Fingers crossed. Anyway, just on the kids, that couch gets a workout. I know you've got a couple of fake horses there in the place that they're always practicing their riding on, but they'll all be sitting there on the couch. They'll be watching you on Saturday. That house must get trashed every time you win a race like this. Yeah,
they do. They jump around and they enjoy these big races, and yeah, it's great to have them enjoying it and taking part in what is a great carnival here in the spring.
Hey, it's a different vibe, isn't it, with a horse like Classique Legend compared to, say, a Redzel, who, of course, went back-to-back. One, you're on speed, and particularly in the first one, he sort of dictated and got things his own way. Do you feel as though with Classique Legend, you're kind of at the mercy of the race pattern and what the guys up the front are doing?
Yeah, a little bit. As you said, Redzel was up the front, and this horse, he gets back a little bit, but at the same time, it's been pleasing to see him jump out and put himself in a prominent spot in all of his recent trials here back on Australian soil. So just in regards to Saturday's race, I personally don't think they'll go as quick as what they did last year. I think that a few guys learnt their lesson there last year. So, you know, it's an interesting draw with a few other speed horses drawn around, obviously Eduardo and Nature Strip. You know, it might be just a little bit steadily a run compared to last year, but you know, my horse has got a bit of gate speed. He can land into a spot where you're comfortable, and you know, the main focus for me will be just to get him in a spot where he's in a nice rhythm, and you know, hopefully we're not 8 off them. Hopefully we're only 6 off them or 5 off them. So as we turn the corner, because if he's well himself and I press the button, then he's going to pick them up.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say Eduardo in particular won't be going as hard as last year. But if there's going to be a fly in the ointment from a speed perspective, maybe it's Embracer, if Embracer tries to punch through and add that little bit of spice there. But this race has so much depth to it, doesn't it?
Oh, it does for sure. There's plenty of horses there with, you know, bringing A-grade form. You've got the Inferno drawn out wide. Libertini's a great mare, fresh. You know, and Lost in Running's drawn down low. How does he handle being smothered up? Does he settle well enough? You know, and G-Trial is going to get a soft time for the early drawn barrier 1. So, you know, it's a great field. You know, the 3-year-old's there. He's thrown into the mix with 53 kilos. You've got to respect him. You know, just heard Chris Waller say that he's improved, and his last win showed that. You know, he's no doubt a stronger horse into this preparation. So you've got to respect him with 53 kilos on his back, and, you know, a great lineup. And, yeah, I'm pretty excited about being a part of it, especially on the back of Classique Legend. You know, Les has done a great job with him, and yeah, can't wait to get on his back on the day.
Well, best of luck to Les, and of course, best of luck to you as well. It would be a remarkable feat if you were to bring up a 4th Everest victory, given it's such a new race. But it's a huge race, and we can't wait to see you in action on Saturday, buddy. Thanks for joining us.
No worries, Ben. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much to Kerrin McEvoy there. And as I said, that would be a remarkable feat to be able to take out the great race once again. Joe Pride is about to join us. He, of course, trains Eduardo, but it's not just Eduardo. In terms of sprinters, Terra Vista, Ball of Muscle, Rain Affair, you're pretty handy at this caper, Joe.
Yeah, enjoy doing it. But yeah, we like to think we can train the stayers as well. We've had a few handy ones there and a few nice ones coming through. But sprinters are a lot of fun, and the Everest has made it more interesting than ever for them.
The stable's flying at the moment, but Eduardo is just such a lovable horse. He just makes his own luck, doesn't he? And he'll be up on speed doing it once again.
He does. He's a pleasure to train. He really is an easy horse to have around the stable. He low maintenance, very sound horse, and sort of no nerves about this week, given he handles all conditions. And I think probably the most significant thing that's happened this week is this weather. I think it's going to play a pretty big part in the race, and knowing what it's like trying to get horses ready first up, and then you get an X factor of a really wet track. It does really make it very difficult.
It was a brilliant win last time out. I don't know if I quite believe you on the no nerves front, by the way. There has to be a little bit. There's a lot of money on the line.
I've told a few people this week, I get nervous when things have gone wrong, and you've had little hiccups going into preparations. But honestly, I've been doing this for a while now, and when I've got a sense of calm about me, we tend to run really well. And that doesn't mean to say it's something that can't go wrong on the day, but generally when you've had the right sort of preparation, your horse runs right up to their ability, and I've totally assured that this horse has the kind of ability it's going to take to win the race. That's for sure.
He's regularly referenced as a bulldog, and we're about to see that in the shorts. Nash Rawiller hopped off and pretty much said there wasn't any point bar the final 100, 150 where he thought that he might be winning the race. He is tenacious as they come. So let's have a look at that race, and then we'll dissect it a bit.
3 lengths away to Geechar running on. Rothfire starting to close in. Masked Crusader still back last. Nature Strip trying to palm off Eduardo. It's Nature Strip a neck on Eduardo. Rothfire's battling Geechar, is looking to come through the middle. Nature Strip's kicking from Eduardo. Nature Strip just in front. Eduardo's lifting the outside. Eduardo lays it down to Nature Strip, and Eduardo won it. Eduardo in a gripping finish to the shorts, ran down Nature Strip. Geechar third, Rothfire fourth. No run-ons. Followed behind then by Handle the Truth, Adelong, Masked Crusader, and Lost and Running.
I mean, bar a marginal squeeze there for Geechar, nearly every horse got their chance to be running him down. And wasn't that a brilliant final 150? I feel as though this horse and jockey partnership is a match made in heaven. They are both as tenacious as each other.
They are. The combinations there. I think it's 8 starts now for 6 wins, a second in the shorts where he was very unlucky. And the only time that they sort of missed out was in the yes last year. Or I think it might have been called that, the race after the Everest anyway, where he wasn't suited. He had enough by that point. So I've sort of spoken to Nash a bit about this horse, and as you'd expect. And he basically just goes out there and runs his own race. He has little or no regard. No regard, doesn't give his opposition enough respect, but he's not worried about what everybody else is doing. He's just getting this horse into a really comfortable rhythm that gives him his best chance to run the best race he can. And sometimes he pops him out and just goes and leads like he did in the Galaxy, and then other times he's happy to sit off or let something go. So really comfortable with Nash on him, and not having to give him, fill him full of instructions, because I think most of the success I've had as a trainer is when I can do that with the jockey. Had a lot of luck with Corey Brown for the first sort of 10 or 15 years of my training career, just letting him go and do what he does best. And those guys ride instinctually, and if they understand the horse, they'll get the best out of him.
In terms of the horse, he's remarkable when headed, but if you had the perfect scenario come Saturday, I'm sure you would say just lead the whole way and win. But there's every likelihood he's going to be out-sprinted at the top of the straight. Is it the final 150 where we're going to see the real Eduardo?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure. I can sort of see a few different ways that potentially he can run his best race. So I could see him leading. I could definitely see him leading all the way. But at the same time, if something wants to go too quickly, and there probably isn't any need for that to happen, because we all know each other's patterns. So I'm not getting too caught up in the way it needs to be run for my horse. I just want Nash to go out and do what he does best on this horse, and that's just get him into that nice rhythm. I know I'm sounding a bit repetitive there, but that's what it's all about, getting this horse into that nice rhythm. He's had the right preparation this year, and he didn't last year, to be fair. He didn't. I was getting to understand and know the horse, but we learned a lot about him in the autumn and the way that I got him to peak for the Galaxy, and it's been a repeat of that to get into this race on Saturday, and I think that stands him in very good stead.
Can I just ask, Joe, for a stable like yours, what would it mean to win a race like the TAB Everest?
The culmination of a lot of hard work, and you can imagine how many people are behind the scenes making this all happen. And it'd be an amazing thing to be able to do. We won the other day. We were a stable that like to think we punch above our weight, given we only have 50 horses in work. But we also like to think that we turn up super competitive every time we go out there. In this horse, he's a real flagship for us. He represents and he embodies everything that the stable's about.
No, tough, consistent, and hopefully about to win a TAB Everest. Thanks very much, Joe. Best of luck come Saturday. You and the team do a great job, and regardless of where he finishes, you should be really proud of what you've done.
Thanks very much, Ben.
Thanks very much to Joe Pride. Now, we're just going to put the guests on hold for a little while because we have a little bit of a treat for you, and that, of course, is the Everest Wonder Race. And thankfully, John Tapp, who's just one of the legendary commentators of the sport, I think we're all in agreement there, has voiced this for us, which is brilliant. So this is the 2021 Everest Wonder Race. We're going to have a chat to Katelyn Mallyon. We're going to have a chat to James McDonald and, of course, Tommy Berry off the back of this. But this is pretty much the greatest sprinters of all time over the TAB Everest distance at Royal Randwick, and we'll see who wins.
Hello, I'm Ray Thomas and welcome to the final episode of the Wonder Everest, brought to you by TAB. Very shortly we'll see who wins the greatest sprint race ever assembled. But of course, this week, the big race itself is on at Royal Randwick on Saturday, the $15 million TAB Everest, and TAB's Andrew Giorgio is joining us. Firstly, have a look at the Everest this weekend, and it's a great betting race, always has been. What's the trade been like in the weeks leading up to the Everest on Saturday?
No, thanks for having me, Ray. As always, the Everest generates a lot of turnover. We've seen good money in the pre-noms market, the all-in market, and now in the last few days as well. Punters love betting on these sprint races, and the Everest is one of their favourites.
And I guess too, Andrew, the key to the Everest is everyone knows the horses. Everyone's familiar with the horses. And
That's right.
The field this year, we've got some of the old champs, the Nature Strips and the Eduardos are backing up again. Then you've got the new kid on the block, Mask, Crusader, some of these young 3-year-olds, but everyone knows the form of these horses so well.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's what helps with regards to punting as well. Punters know what they're going to get with the majority of these horses, so it definitely makes it easier to have a splash on one of them.
Andrew, I reckon you would have found it much easier framing a market on the TAB Everest on Saturday than you would have framing a market on the Wonder Everest, sponsored by TAB. Here's the field. What a field this is, Andrew. Champions galore. We've got the 3 Everest winners already in the race. Redzell, Classique Legend, and yes, plus 9 great sprinters from yesteryear. Who's the poor guy who had the short straw to frame a market?
Yeah, well, look, I'm very thankful that it wasn't me, Ray. I'll tell you that much. We've got 2 great traders over in the office there, Pete Todd and also Tim Ryan. They were tasked with coming up with the market here. And when you see the market, it'll be no surprise to see a very familiar name at the top of the betting there at $4.50.
Well, just firstly, how did the gentlemen line up the greats of yesteryear with the horses that they would have seen in the last 10, 15 years?
Well, that's the hardest part, Ray, because when you try and compare horses from different eras, you're always going to get arguments from 2, 3, 4 sides, aren't you? Yeah, and so it's always very hard to try and compare those horses. But they came up with it somehow. Obviously, the records, who they beat, how many records they won, in terms of track record, whether they performed on wet conditions, dry conditions. They factored all that in, and then they came up with this market. I don't know how they did it, but they came up with a fantastic market, and you're getting value for every single one of these runners.
Well, let's have a look at the Wonder Everest market, brought to you by TAB. I don't know who will be favourite, Andrew, but I'll throw it over to you, and I see Black Caviar's at the top of the pile.
Yeah, well, Ray, 25 starts, 25 wins, $4.50 favourite in our tab Wonder
get
Everest.
$4.50 favourite ever about Black Caviar?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And then you look at some of the horses that follow behind her. You had Todman and Vane. They're both at $6. Manicato at $8. Yeah. And then we go out to double figures for horses like Luskin Star, Chautauqua, Red Zell, a two-time Everest winner himself. Then we go out to $15. Takeover Target, yes. And my favourite, Classique Legend. And then finally, $26. And it's almost a travesty to put these horses at $26. Yeah. Scalacci and Placid Arc.
And they were great horses. That underlines the strength of the Wonder Everest, Phil, when you can have Scalacci and Placid Arc at such huge odds. Well, Black Caviar is the favourite at $4.50 for the Wonder Everest field, brought to you by TAB. Well, after 4 days, the countdown to the great race, here it is. We'll go to John Tapp for his call of the Wonder Everest.
Racing in the Wonder Everest, Chautauqua slow to move at the start. Manicato bounced out in front of Takeover Target. Todman is away fast. Coming over quickly now from the outside is Vane, who's got too much speed. And Vane crossed them easily to lead Manicato. Then Todman, Takeover Target on the fence. Wider out is Red Zell. Black Caviar midfield on the inside of Placid Arc and very wide, yes. Then Luskin Star close to the fence, followed by Scalacci. Classique Legend second last and 2.5 lengths away last Chautauqua. Inside the 600, coming around the turn in the Wonder Everest, and Vane is a clear-cut leader by a length and a half. In second place, Todman. Manicato still there. Takeover Target getting a rails run, and Black Caviar coming between horses, and then Placid Arc. It's Vane in front, but Black Caviar has raced past him now. Black Caviar drew clear. Vane's not done with. He's fighting on tenaciously, but Black Caviar, too strong, is drawing away. She's a champion for the ages, Black Caviar. Won clearly from Vane. In third place, Manicato, then Todman, Placid Arc. Classique Legend followed by Scalacci, Luskin Star. Takeover Target well back with Chautauqua, Red Zell, and yes, is last home in the Wonder Everest.
Yeah, pretty decent performance there from Black Caviar. I must say, from a market perspective, I'm not entirely certain about the $4.50 available from TAB. There might be some traders who are in a little bit of strife there, but in good news, I now have 4.5 houses. There were some pretty handy horses in behind. I tell you what, this girl's ridden some pretty handy horses in her time, including a Group 1 winner. She's also the ATC ambassador, and she's Channel 9 host as well. We get to have plenty of fun on Saturdays. She does all the form analysis and finds us plenty of winners. Katelyn Mallyon, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Actually, Channel 7 host, but that's okay.
What did I say?
Channel 9.
Oh my God, they're going to kill me. Apologies. Free to air, live and free. Channel 7. Channel 7. Channel 7. Channel 7.
All the way.
How are you, Katie?
The only place to watch it. Oh, I'm very good, Ben. How are you?
I was good up until about 20 seconds ago. I tell you what, that was an enjoyable race, watching all of the greats of the past go at it. But Black Caviar was always going to win, and I think it's fair to say we can make it 26 from 26 now.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, goodness. Wouldn't you have loved to have seen her in an Everest? She was just phenomenal. And, I had the great pleasure of actually watching her when she was racing up nice and close and personal. And, she blew my mind. And to go overseas and do what she did, she's certainly one of the best racehorses I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, look, Nolan, he must just be shaking his head that the Everest wasn't a concept back when she was still running around. But anyway, we've got some pretty handy horses in this edition. There's no doubt about that. 12 slots and 12 great contenders for the race. You've had a look at it, and it's hard to rule a line through a lot of them.
Yeah, it's going to be a mouth-watering clash between all these sprinters, but I think we can rule a line through a couple of them just with the wet weather. Seems like there's more to come. So the track at the moment is soft. I'd say best case scenario, it would be a soft, but if we do get the prediction of all the rain, I think we'll probably likely see it in the heavy range. So, you know, a couple of these horses just aren't that good in the wet track. So horses like Wild Ruler, and then the first up horse there in Libertini, she doesn't like it that wet either. So, and then of course it's going to play into the hands of Lost and Running, Nature Strip, Geetra, he gets through it. Classique Legend gets through it. I just don't know how he's going to go first up on a wet track. I know he's been well prepared from Les Bridge, but there's nothing quite like race fitness. So his trials have looked brilliant, but gee, he's going to have his work cut out for him if it does happen to be in the heavy range.
Yeah, I remember we were having this chat maybe about a month ago, and it looked an impossible task. And had there been any other name alongside the horse than Les Bridge, neither of us really would have considered Classique Legend a chance. But in terms of the fixed odds early markets, he's just been hammered. So clearly there's some thought there that he'll be near enough to his best.
Yeah, I mean you can't doubt Les Bridge, can you? He's a Hall of Fame trainer and he just knows his horse back to front. So does Kerrin McEvoy. And look, he looks like he's come back well in his trials. He's nice and powerful. He's strong. I like the last trial where he switched off a little bit better, and powered through the line. But as I said before, if it does end up being a heavy track, you want to hope he's got the miles in his legs, because it is going to be a tough slog, especially about these horses that have had the runs under their belt, like Nature Strip. And of course, you've got Embracer there. He'll push forward as well from his barrier and barrier 3. So there'll be plenty of speed on. So, you know, it could fall into his hands if he can get a soft enough run.
Last year, a few of them just got torched up on speed, and I genuinely thought that the run of Nature Strip was huge considering the circumstances. I assume it's that way you're leading. For one, you'd probably be murdered in your house if you didn't go that way. But for two, he really does have the resume that deserves to have an Everest win on it.
Yeah, I think so. He's won all the other majors, hasn't he? I just think that there's just an aura of confidence about Chris Waller this time around with Nature Strip. He was excellent first up, and I still thought he was very brave second up. But he can do that. He can have a little bit of a lull before just absolutely dominating the next start. Like he did it back in the autumn. I think he ran? He ran fourth in the Lightning, and then he blitzed him in the Challenge, and then back went in 2019 when he ran fourth in the Concord and then won the Moya, and then fourth in Everest, and then absolutely thrashed them in a VRC Classic. So, look, I think if Nature Strip is at his best and gets the run that he likes, which I couldn't even tell you what that is, maybe you can ask James, but he seems unbeatable, and you're right, I do think he deserves to have an Everest. So he is my on top pick, but a horse that I like and I think that he could run a cheeky little race is the Inferno.
Yeah, okay. So we're going off the Moya form. I must admit, it's an odd take, but I reckon out of that Moya, Wild Ruler might have won the race, but I thought the two runs in behind were the better runs. So the Inferno and even Trekking, who just had absolutely no luck.
Yeah, well, Trekking's one that probably doesn't want it too wet, but I think Trekking is flying. You're right, and he was unlucky in the Moya, but I don't know, the Inferno, he hasn't seen a heavy track, but he did win. He won first up in the McEwen, and it was a soft track, and I thought he relished the conditions there. He has drawn a little bit of an awkward barrier in 12. Regan Bayliss, he's riding really well, fresh off a couple of Group 1s last week. I've just got a feeling that this 5-year-old might relish the conditions, and he's got some sort of turn of foot on him when he gets the right run in the race. So watch for him. Mars Crusader's an interesting horse. I'm not sure whether he's a real wet tracker, but he has performed on it before. If they go crazy up front, he's going to be the horse flashing home too.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking with that form line, you know, what price would Standout be in a TAB Everest? And I just can't help but think that even if he can just swoop late and blow them all out, just from a price side of things, he just does too much wrong. He just keeps flopping out of the gates. But Tommy Berry seems to think that's not necessarily habitual, and that maybe he might jump a bit better and settle in front of a few. Then it would be race on.
Okay. Is that what Tommy's saying? All right, then. We'll see how he goes. Eh?
He's forever the optimist, Tommy Berry, isn't he?
Yeah, that's exactly right. But he's riding well. Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating race as always, and just can't wait to get out there on Saturday.
No, I'll be out there with you on Channel 7. Live
I
and
look
free.
forward to it.
And I can't wait. Hey, you're about to swap seats. Can we maybe get a quick shot of Roxy in between as well? Whereabouts is...
Well, actually, that's a good. Roxy's over there on the couch.
Right.
If you see her, she's sleeping on her blanket.
Okay, don't wake her up.
Drop something there.
Hey, buddy.
Here he is.
Hey, mate.
How are you? This seems a little bit rude, but Katie, do you mind if, yep, just swapping seats? Perfect.
How are you?
The star of the show makes way for James McDonald, everybody. How are you?
At least I didn't stuff up the camera this time, eh?
Oh, mate, I stuffed up the channel. Wait until I hear about this afterwards. Anyway, it's one hell of a race coming up, mate, and best of luck for it. You've got Nature Strip, and I know you love this horse.
Yeah, no, he's a beauty. He's in career best form. He's had a touch wood, faultless preparation. He can't go any better, to be fair. So excited with the barrier. I think it's really good. I'd love it to be even heavy if it is. It would be perfect for him as well, and because it will just eliminate half the runners anyway. And he's dominant for it. He goes really well. So I reckon we'll see a pretty special performance from him.
I kind of got the impression from Chris that he wasn't too rattled if you ended up with a few in front of you and he had cover, but we've seen in the past that can be his undoing. In a perfect world, do you settle just outside Eduardo?
Yeah, well, obviously in the TJ, it worked out really well like that. But there might be a few flies in the ointment, so to speak, in terms of a couple of speed runners drawn inside, Embracer, Lost and Running, Home Affairs. They've all got a little bit of toe, but yeah, look, they're pretty fast to be leading Nature Strip at the 600 anyway. And but look, if he gets the first half right, yeah, he's the one to beat.
We might have a look at a recent jump out. We touched on it with Chris, but this is essentially Nature Strip sitting on the outside of Home Affairs, and there was nothing circumstantial about that. Of course, it was a plan to see how he would settle outside of a speed horse. So let's have a look at it, and then we'll chat a bit more after that.
For the Coolmore slot, Home Affairs, but the Heritage Stakes winner is travelling boldly here down to the 300 metres from Nature Strip, is cruising along the outside, and a pretty loose rein there for James. So it's Home Affairs in front here from Nature Strip, who's not asked to go too incompletely. Home Affairs in front from Nature Strip, who's getting close now, but Home Affairs is going to lead all the way and win that by a narrow margin over Nature Strip. And we'll have the times through for you in just a moment. So he's priced at $15 for the Everest. They bet hundreds earlier.
Forgive me, James. I'm a little bit of a cynic, right? And I've learned a lesson with Chris's horses, whether it be trials or whether it be just a track gallop like that. I don't just watch up until the line. I watch for a few hundred metres after the line. Surely Nature Strip goes past at any point there if asked.
Yeah, but it was good work, and it was very slick work, and horses can't run any faster. So when Nature Strip was probably a length and a half off Home Affairs, and they're running home in 32.4 like they did, they can't run any faster, to be fair. So his work was really good. He ripped through the line, which was pleasing. The thing you got to remember about a 900 metre gallop as well as a 1200 metre race, that Nature Strip's a tried and true performer, that he can rip home in those sectionals over 1200. These horses have got to come up to his level. So I thought his last performance where he got beat was super, especially for a semi-final, because we know we got the best man in the country training this horse in terms of prepping him for a grand final. So he'll be cherry ripe.
It used to be the query with Nature Strip, didn't it? That sort of 1200 metre mark. And there were a few thoughts that he was just a speedy squib. But then as he's grown and matured, he's really just become just a devastating 1200 metre horse. And assuming he behaves himself, that seems to be the query about the trip, his behaviour. But he seems to have alleviated that in recent years.
Yeah, he has. He's been a work in progress, no doubt about that. He look, from time to time, each preparation, he'll throw in an awkward one. But Touch wood, like I said before, it's been super this time around. He had 2 trials leading into his first up run, had beautiful grounding for that. He bounced out of that really well, and then he got beat the other day, but only by a small margin. But as we expect, he can bounce out of those defeats pretty quickly and put in a really good one for Rennie. So we're expecting the same. The horse can't look any better. He can't feel any better, and his headspace is in the perfect spot. So there'll be no excuses if he does get beat, but I think whatever beats him will win the race.
I know, you're a jockey, essentially, so markets wouldn't really worry you too much, I wouldn't imagine. But just a question without warning, are you surprised that he's not favourite?
I would expect him to jump favourite, I would have thought, but
Yeah.
Especially if the conditions hold up, I think that will be really in his favour, because look, the favourite at the moment hasn't had a run, which is very hard to do, and especially against a horse that's been faultless this preparation and had 2 beautiful lead ups. So you can't get away from that. And on his day, he is the world's best sprinter. Like his TJ win, his Darley Classic win has just been superb. So he only has to replicate that, and he's obviously the horse to beat in my eyes anyway. But like all I can say is what I've felt this so far is guns blazing.
Hey, just one more. Between the two of them, I think most would agree that top end talent, it's Nature Strip and Classique Legend. Assuming Classique Legend is at his best, who do you think has the highest peak, Nature Strip or Classique? Because last year, there was a decent gap back to the rest.
Yeah, good question. I'll probably leave that to the experts, I suppose. But look,
you are the expert.
They're both very good sprinters. Like it's hard to say that one, because I've never felt Classique Legend before. So, but Nature Strip on his day, I'm pretty sure he can run to a fairly high mark, and then, but he's the one that's setting that tempo for that mark to be reached for a Classique Legend sort of run. So I'd say he's a pretty self-explanatory sort of horse. You know where he's going to be, and if he's good enough on a day, he'll be trying his best to fight out the finish. Where if Classique Legend obviously gets back in the ruck, he's going to need a little bit of luck. But I wouldn't swap my horse for anything.
Hey, I think I've said one final question about 3 times, but I do have final one. It's just about the horse that you rode earlier on today. You actually rode the first 3 winners, so you're in some decent touch. But geez, there was a handy juvenile in there.
Yeah, no, there was. It was she was a very good. I think she's a very good horse. From what she's shown the stable, I think they had a pretty good rap on her. That was indicated by SP starting price, and obviously, I think she's got a really good future in front of her. I love to see what she does on good ground, as well as, you never know, she might step up and trip. I'm not too sure what they've got planned, but she was excellent today, and she's definitely a filly for the future.
No worries. We just want to put one more question. One more. This is, I promise, the last one.
Last one.
If you were to pick a danger, so a horse to run second to Nature Strip, who is it?
Well, it just depends on. I'm hoping it's going to be heavy conditions. So I think you got a ball. It balls down to the tried and true. I think G-Tra as well as Eduardo. I think they're the tough heads. I think that's what we're going to need here. A fit horse and ready to fight out the last 100 with some pretty sturdy customers.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll be too pleased with that one draw with G-Tra. There could be a little bit of traffic in front, but if there's clear air, it could be those 3 fighting it out. Best of luck on Saturday, mate. You've been doing
Not my problem.
No, it's not. No, it isn't. You're going to have clear air in front of you. I'm pretty confident of that. Best of luck on Saturday, and I hope you can pick up an Everest.
Thanks, Ben. Cheers, mate.
Thanks very much to James, and thanks very much to Katelyn as well, and a little cameo from Roxy, Channel 7. Tommy Berry is our next guest, everybody. It's been a brilliant night, hasn't it? We've got to speak to all of the main players, and Tommy, of course, is going to be riding Masked Crusader for Team Hawks. Tommy, great to have you part of the show tonight.
Thanks for having me on, Ben.
Yeah, it's been a star-studded lineup, and you're certainly right up there amongst those, that's for sure. You must be really keen on your chances. This is a horse that, yes, has some convictions, particularly at the start, but there's no shortage of that top-end ability.
No, definitely. He's got a real sense of timing about him, this horse, Ben. He's been going really good at home, and he's just kept improving every start. So, look, couldn't be any happier with how he was the other day. He looked like he was going to be a little bit unlucky halfway down the straight, but he's one of them horses that can, change direction in a race and still sprint and let down, with some pretty good sectionals on his day. But I guess the most impressive part for me was he had a very good blow, and he still looked like his coat was starting to come through. So as the Hawks team have done plenty of times in the past, they seem to be able to get a horse ready for a grand final, and I think they'll have this bloke there in great order on the weekend.
Well, the semi-final was pretty good. Let's have a look at the premiere, and then we'll have a bit more of a chat in a tick.
And now Mars Crusader starting to tack on as they turn for home, and in racing in the middle of the track at the moment. It's Adelong in front from Rothfire. Adelong, Rothfire, Standard up the fence. Then came Lost and Running. Further back to Embracer. I Am Superman to the outside. Now Mars Crusader's being ridden up, but there's nowhere to go on Mars Crusader. He has to duck and weave. I think he's found a gap now. Standout went to the front. Mars Crusader's charging through the centre. Mars Crusader from last. A miraculous get out of jail. Mars Crusader beats Standout. Embracer third, then Lost and Running. I Am Superman. Further back to Jonker. Rothfire knocked up together with Adelong.
I really loved your grab post-race, Tommy, because I think that's how every punter and really viewer felt. Maybe not quite as badly as you did, but I reckon this feeling from any one of the Hawks boys, it would have been right there at about the 400-metre mark.
Yeah, no, definitely. He's one of those horses. You're either a hero or a mug on many occasions. And I've ridden, a couple of horses like him in the past where you're going to be in those sticky situations, and there's split-second decisions that you make in races. And when you get them right, as you said, it's a great feeling, but you're not going to get them right all the time. But, I guess one thing about the Premier, everyone's going on about the time of the race and what he beat, but sometimes you just got to believe your eye and the way he goes about his business, and the way he felt to me, being on his back was quite impressive. So, look, we've seen what he can do when he ran second in Nature Strip in the TJ Smith, where he was a little bit unlucky, and he was 100%, ready to go on his day there. That was his grand final, and you saw what times and the splits he was able to run. So this is his grand final on the weekend, and he'll be 100% ready to go there. And hopefully, we can get him out a little bit better than he has been in the past, and not get as far back as he has been in some of his races. It's definitely not a plan of ours, but going back a couple of preparations ago, even last prep, he was still a bit of a keen going sort of a horse. So it's taken a long time to get him to switch off and relax, and he's sort of gone a little bit the other way at the moment. So now he is relaxing so well. I probably wouldn't be afraid to give him a little bit of a squeeze early and put him a little bit closer than what he has been.
Yeah, well, just on that, I mentioned that chatting to Katie a little bit earlier about this horse. Is it circumstantial or habitual with this horse? Because he seems to be flopping out. Are you confident that he can muster quickly enough to maybe settle in front of 4 or 5? Because that could make a world of difference.
Yeah, especially when you've got a horse like Classique Legend not drawn too far away from you. Like if I could settle close enough to find the back of him, then it's all up to Kerrin to ride the race for me then. If you can find a good jockey like that and a good horse to follow, it takes the pressure off you a little bit. So it would be nice. But as I said, he's been a horse that's been keen in the past. So even though he's flopped out a couple of times, you'll notice myself, Josh Parr, when he rode him, and others in the past, they've never even asked him after he has flopped out. They've sort of let him find his feet and tack onto the field. But I don't think we can do that in an Everest. It's a different race. It's high pressure. You can't give horses of that quality too much of a head start. So I definitely won't be letting him flop out in the Everest. I'll be asking him to step away, and if he does flop out, asking him to respond a little bit quicker than he has in the past. And I'm pretty confident he can do that now that he's a different horse than what he was before. His manners are a lot better. He's matured into a Group 1 winning horse now, and I'm confident that if we can get him away well and find the back of something like a Classique Legend or even Jason's horse, Guy Trash, I keep calling it, then, you know, they're the type of horses that can take me to where I need to be.
Yeah, they really did make life difficult for us there, the owners of Guitra, didn't they, with naming the horse like that? But anyway, he's certainly a talented horse. If you could find the back of Guitra, you'll be taken a long way into the race. Just one final one, and you may not know the answer to
I heard you
this
say
yet.
one final one to James a few times.
I know, but this is a final. This is a final one because I've been under strict orders to finish by 8:30, and I got a little bit of admin to go through first. But we know the top end with Nature Strip. We know the top end with Classique Legend. Do you believe that the top end for Masked Crusader can match it with those?
Yeah, well, I don't think we've seen the top end of Masked Crusader yet, you know, and I believe the TJ Smith, I just keep going back to that. If he gets clear running, then he's running Nature Strip down to it. If not beating him, he's getting very close. And I think Nature Strip's one of the best sprinters in Australia and has been for quite some time. So we saw what he did in the Manikato when he won. He was electrifying there, but he's a horse that gets back. He needs luck. If he gets the luck, he's going to be in the finish. If he doesn't, well, I'll probably be the one to blame for that.
No. Well, it is a horse that needs luck. And unfortunately, quite often the difference between a good and a bad ride is just that luck. And I hope you have plenty of it on Saturday. Best of luck to you.
Thanks for having me on the show, Ben. Cheers, mate.
Brilliant to have Tommy and everybody else join us tonight. I really hope that you guys have enjoyed it. Of course, the market is available with TAB for the TAB Everest, so make sure to head along and have a bet. Classique Legend, as I mentioned, is into $4. Nature Strip at $4.40. That may flip come race day. I suspect it will. Eduardo at $6, Guitra $8, Masked Crusader at $9 with Home Affairs. This race has a heap of depth to it. Lost and Running looks an emerging talent. The Inferno, as mentioned, is an each-way chance according to Katelyn Mallyon at $23. Over the page, we have Trekking Libertini, Wild Ruler, Embracer, and imagine if Special K gets in the race, the first emergency there. Anyway, Saturday is going to be a huge race, and not just because of the TAB Everest, but also because we're going to see all of you guys back out on track. And a big shout out to our ATC members. Welcome back on Saturday. We've really missed you guys. We cannot wait to see you once again. To all of the owners and all of the racing fans, this is going to be a momentous occasion come Saturday, and we can't wait to see you at the races again. Cheers.